Hi everybody. This vehicle is a 2004 Ford Explorer, and these are just a couple of the alternators that I got to try to fix this truck. So in this video, I'm going to show you which alternators I got, which ones actually worked, and the problems that I found with these different brands of alternator. So after I rebuilt the engine in this truck, I found out quickly that the original alternator wasn't working correctly. And it was actually pretty easy to find out because when I would start the engine and run it at nighttime with the headlights on, periodically the headlights would flicker out and then come back on. So that was a clear indication that the alternator wasn't able to keep up with the headlights. So I went online, and the first one I got was this cheap one, $81 alternator from Amazon, and put that on and had a problem with it where it could not keep up with just basic electrical load. So this one would actually work and charge, but it would make the headlights flicker, or actually they would dim every time the hazard lights would flash. So even though it was working and charging, it wasn't able to keep up with basic loads of just the headlights and the four-ways. So I decided, hey, let's upgrade, and I'll get a brand new Bosch alternator. I found out online that Bosch was supposed to be the OE alternator for this truck when it was new. So I went on to Bosch's website and found this part number for a new alternator. This is what came, and I installed it, and guess what? Same problem with the headlights flickering every time the four-ways would flash. So this Bosch alternator that I paid $185 for was acting the same way as this $81 alternator from Amazon. And actually, if we compare the two, they are very, very similar. But I'll get into that in a second. The first thing I noticed with this Bosch when I got it was that it looked like someone scraped a sticker off of the alternator and put a Bosch sticker on it instead. And in fact, there's glue residue around this Bosch sticker. So I think that either someone returned this in the Bosch box, and maybe this actually is one of these cheap alternators, or that Bosch is buying these cheap alternators and scraping this sticker off and putting their own sticker on it instead. So I decided at this point, I'm not really doing too well. The $81 alternator doesn't work. The $185 alternator doesn't work. So I asked a friend of mine to just get me one from his local parts supplier, which he did. And basically this is a reman from our local parts store. And here's the part number for it. And guess what? This thing worked great. And we can see a difference really quick between this Bosch and this cheap one and this reman, and that is on the back side of the alternator. So you see these are aluminum and this one is black. And if we compare that to the OE, this is the original alternator that was on the truck. You see this is also black. So now I'm not talking about this back cover, because if you look up the alternator for this truck on all the aftermarket websites, they all mention whether it has a black cover or not. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this part right here. So you see this is black and this one is aluminum. So I think that's an indicator as to whether or not this is a Ford rebuilt alternator or a knockoff, because of that color. And the reason I say that is because when this one worked, I decided, hey, I'm going to go out and buy a reman alternator from my local parts store, and I usually go to CarQuest or Advanced Auto Parts. So now this one is a new one that I bought, CarQuest New, and this is what showed up. And I was really shocked to see it, that it's the same as the Bosch and the same as this $81 alternator, even though this one list price on CarQuest website is $199. So I decided, well, I'm not even going to try to install this because it's just the same as these others. So I went back to CarQuest and I looked at a reman, and guess what? Even though the part number was different, I think the reman part number was 7787A instead of AN, it was exactly the same alternator as this. No difference at all. So I guess that, you know, for the price and for the warranty that you get, they're basically boxing the same part into a different box with a different sticker on it. So after all that, I decided, hey, you know what? Maybe this Bosch just was a fluke. Maybe somebody went onto Amazon and they bought a Bosch alternator and they stuck one of these knockoffs into the box and returned it, and I'm just the unlucky sucker that got this one shipped. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go back online and buy another new Bosch. So I did. And when I opened the box and look inside, what do I find? Of course, it's all wrapped up, right? It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as the other Bosch. So I'm thinking that because these alternators are brand new, and if I could get it for $81, I'm sure that a lot of other companies are buying these same alternators and maybe changing the pulley, because this one's silver, this one's black, right? This Reman has a silver one. This CarQuest has a silver one. These two Bosch ones are black. I'm thinking that these people are going out, getting these cheap alternators for, who knows, maybe 40 bucks, 50 bucks, slapping them into a Bosch box, putting a Bosch sticker on them, or putting them in a CarQuest box, putting a CarQuest sticker on them, and they're selling them for whatever their standard markup is, and selling them to shops, mechanics, consumers, whoever. So, after this whole story about my alternator saga with this '04 Explorer, what did I finally end up doing? Because this one doesn't work, this one works, but it makes my headlights dim and blink. This one, I'm not going to spend $180 when this one does the same thing. Same with this Bosch, same with this CarQuest, and I have to give this back to my friend who got this for me just as a test alternator. What did I finally end up doing? Well, let's go look at the truck. I went to my local junkyard and I found a '97 Explorer that had 70,000 miles on it. Took the alternator out of it, popped it on here, and for 50 bucks, this truck works great. So I really didn't want to go with a used alternator. I really wanted to get a brand new, original alternator for this truck, since I just spent so much time and money rebuilding this engine. But as it turns out, and what I think is, that unless it's an original Ford part, you're just not going to get the quality if you go after one of these aftermarket alternators. Because it looks to me, it looks like all these other companies are going out buying these cheap knockoffs, putting their stickers on them, and selling them for whatever their price is. So, in my opinion, unless you can get a remanufactured original Ford part, and I would really stress looking for the back part of it to be black and not aluminum, because at least then I think you're getting some Ford parts in your alternator, then I really wouldn't buy it. Because I just don't think you're going to be happy with your headlights and your blower motor dimming, getting brighter and dimmer depending on electrical load. So, pretty cool. At least I got the truck fixed. Well, anyway, if you have any questions or any comments, post them below. And thanks for watching. And if you like my videos, please subscribe.